What's good, mind speakers? If you click this video, you already know what's going down. We are recapping Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 2 and 3. I didn't do Episode 2 last week because I knew this week's would just be the battle. So then, if I was just going to do this week's, what would I talk about? So we're going to talk about the entire experience of Winterfell right now. So boom, the last episode ended with Bran waiting for Jaime to pull up, and as soon as Jaime pulled up, he saw Bran and said, fuck. And the next time we see Jaime, the first scene, Jaime's standing in the same place that Littlefinger stood when Arya slit his throat and spilled his fruit punch all over the floor, and he's on trial because Daenerys has an attitude because Jaime kinda sorta killed her father, and Sansa has an attitude because Jaime kinda sorta ambushed her father, and Bran has an attitude because he kinda sorta threw him out the window, and Daenerys is also mad because Cersei didn't send the army. And Daenerys is also really nasty to Tyrion too because Tyrion also trusted Cersei, and nobody should have trusted Cersei, so she's looking for a head, to the point of where she's even nasty to Tyrion after that, and Tyrion tells Varys and Davos, I would assume one of you is gonna be wearing this pin before it's all over because she's gonna kill me. Everybody's ready to execute Jaime, but Jaime's kinda like, listen here, I'm not apologizing for shit because everything I did I had to do for my family the same way all of you and all of your ancestors have done shit for their family. I just won. Which, if we're being real, he's right. Brienne then vouches for him. Sansa goes with it. Daenerys is pissed. She looks at Jon. Jon says sure because we just need people for the battle. And then Daenerys tries to make eye contact and appeal with Jon's heart, and Jon just kind of goes away. Daenerys, this whole episode, is kind of just trying to connect with Jon's soul, but Jon is just like, nah, I don't want to make eye contact with you, I don't want to do it. And if they had phones, she would literally send him a text like, I just feel like you're being distant right now. It's like, just leave him alone. I'm not gonna go over the whole episode 2, but I am gonna pick out the best moments. The next best moment for me was when Gendry pretty much told Arya, how about you go to the crypt, that's where it's safe for women, and Arya's like, I'm a realer nigga than you. You better sit the fuck down, alright? I've seen death, it has many faces, and I look forward to seeing this one. Now make my motherfucking weapon, bitch. Jaime met Bran up near the tree where the White Walkers were made, and he pretty much is like, I'm sorry, like, if I was the person that I am now, wouldn't have done that. And Bran gives a pretty profound statement about destiny that he also ends up giving to Theon, I think, next episode when Theon apologizes to him. But he's like, stop apologizing. Everything that you have done, everything that you've done, everything that's happened to you has brought you to where you are now. So there's no need for the apology. Like, be grateful that you made those mistakes, and I should be grateful that you did that to me because that's why I am who I am. And that's a very profound statement about how to forgive your enemies, how to forgive people who've wronged you, because everything you've been here has brought you to that point. And, you know, destiny, the universe, the powers that be may have to use other people to hurt you, to push you in the right direction. So that's a really great theme to take from the episode and to take from Game of Thrones overall. I kind of felt at the time that Jaime's apology to her was kind of like closure, like Jaime was really wrapping up. And a lot of this episode felt like closure for a lot of people because they were succinctly wrapping up a lot of storylines, which is why originally I didn't have a problem because I thought everyone was gonna die. And Jaime was one of them because he was trying to show everyone that he's changed, that he's a different Jaime Lannister. I mean, even to Brienne was like, what do you want? Every time you talk to me, you insult me. And he was like, no, I actually want to serve under you. You're a pretty dope warrior. And she's like, Jaime to me was on an apology tour to tell everybody that he changed, which I thought he was for sure gonna die, which now we know, I guess not. Even Tyrion to me was up for grabs because he told Jaime he couldn't believe that they were gonna die at Winterfell and that he always pictured that he would die in his own bed at the age of 80 with a belly full of wine and a girl's mouth wrapped around his cock, which is a line he said before, so that's another tie-up where I was like, oh fuck. Jorah came in just to sniff some of Daenerys' air because that's as far out of the friend zone and as physically close as he's ever gonna get to her, and he pretty much tells Daenerys, listen here, Tyrion's a good guy, don't just write him off. I was really upset when you named him as your hand, even though I knew I was gone, and it broke my heart, he even says. He's like, but you made the right decision. Don't count him out. Which I knew was closure for Jorah, period, because Jorah was gonna fight and the hand got to go in the crypt, and we know exactly what happened to Jorah. But I knew that was Jorah's closure. He also tells Daenerys to go talk to Sansa. This is one of my favorite scenes because Daenerys just can't help but be a bitch. Like, she has this air of I'm better than you that she keeps trying to suppress in order to have a conversation with Sansa, but it really doesn't work. Like, even the smile just comes across very The first thing she even does is press Sansa about Jaime, saying they were on the same page. Like, I thought we was getting rid of him, so what's good? And Sansa goes, yeah, we were, but I trust my advisor. And Brienne, I have no reason not to trust Brienne. She's the realist. And of course, Daenerys takes that as an opportunity to throw shade. And she's like, well, I wish I could trust my advisors that well. And Sansa's like, Tyrion's a good guy, stop, like, cut it out. But Daenerys basically turns the whole thing on Sansa, saying like, what's your issue with me? when it's like, you definitely have an issue with me too, sis, but okay. And Sansa lays it out flat, which is why I like Sansa, because it's nothing to Sansa. Sansa says, hey, listen, my brother's the king in the north, you're his girlfriend, and men are easily manipulated. And I know the easiest way to manipulate a man is through the that you be giving him, right? And Daenerys is kind of like, oh, well, listen here, all my life, I've only known one goal, and it's the throne. And now I'm here a world away from that throne, fighting Jon's war, because I love him, so who's being manipulated? Daenerys, baby, this war is for you too. If y'all don't beat the dead, ain't no motherfucking Iron Throne. So yeah, you have to be here, you and your dragons, so shut the fuck up. But Sansa takes that in stride, and Sansa just says, you know what, that's my fault. I should have thanked you for being here, and I understand and we're on the same page. However, after the North was taken from us, we swore that we would never bow down to another queen or king or whoever. So when you do take your throne, can we have the North? And Daenerys kind of looks at her like, bitch, I was promised 7 kingdoms, not 6. Like, no. And in the end, that's gonna be a problem for Sansa. I think it's important to go back and watch that episode because I think we all thought that the battle for Winterfell was gonna be the big ending, and now it's not. So all these conversations matter. And Sansa still has a little bit of Littlefinger in there too because she was groomed by Littlefinger as well. So don't be surprised if Daenerys ends up getting killed at the hands of Sansa because I really think that that's what's gonna happen. Tormund shows up like, yeah, hey, what up, what up, what up? Is the big woman still here? Where's my baby? But Brienne don't want shit to do with Tormund the whole episode. We finally find out from Bran during the War Council what the Night King actually wants. He wants an endless night. He wants to destroy Bran because Bran is the world's memory, and if you destroy the world's memory, then you destroy man. And Sam gives a really profound line and delivers it saying, that's all we are. All we are is our stories, is our memories that we pass down. We're nothing but history, we're data. And if we don't have that, we're animals, we're no different. And that's also a really profound line from the series because that's the truth. All we have are our stories and who we are and what we pass down, but it also kind of puts a profound thought to me about what about those tribes that have been wiped out and, you know, their history keepers that have been wiped out, or things that are chosen to be left out of history, it gets wiped out. Or even if we take it to slavery in the United States, Black people's histories were erased, their languages were erased, their culture was erased, and we have now found a new one. But pre-slavery, my people really don't have one. And so that's a really deep conversation to kind of have about humanity and what it really is from just that line alone. Theon says he wants to defend Bran, and that pretty much told me that that was going to be Theon's closure because he's going to die, and that actually did happen. So I'm like, all right, cool. Tyrion acts like he's going to get out there and he's going to fight, and Daenerys is like, no, you're not fighting. Fuck out of here. There's 1,000 warriors and there's only one brain like yours. You need to go in the crypt. But Tyrion's pissed because he fought in the Blackwater, even though, didn't he get knocked upside his head and slashed and knocked over? I don't even think he was like a valiant warrior in the Blackwater, but he really wants to be in the fight, and Daenerys says no, so he has to go in the crypt, which they keep stressing that the crypt is safe. Those of us who know Game of Thrones know that the crypt was never safe. There was never a safe thing. The fact that they kept stressing, it's safe in there, it's safe in there, it's safe in there, it knew it immediately was not safe in there. And then Daenerys does the girl thing again when she tries to make eye contact with Jon and connect to his soul, and Jon just kind of says, "Milady," and just walks away. And she's pissed again. And I kind of love it because Daenerys is able to get attention and command everybody in every room no matter what she does. And the one person she can't command attention from is Jon, and she cannot fucking handle it. Missandei tries to say hi to these little girls in Winterfell, and they go, ah, a black, and they run away. And then Grey Worm comes over and says, hey sis, we need to get somewhere where there's a Martin Luther King Boulevard or a Kennedy Fried, because there's no place for black people around here. We need to go somewhere where our people at. And Missandei's like, wow, really? You mean we can make it? We can go to Atlanta? Which for me, I totally thought that Grey Worm would die because they're talking about after the war and this grand scheme. No, that's not gonna happen. No way. Brienne got knighted by Jaime, which I also thought was closure. I was like, fuck, now we have to prepare for Brienne to die. Sam doesn't want to go in the crypt because he's like, let me remind you, I was the first one to even kill a White Walker. So he's talking shit to Ed and Jon, and Jon's like, sure, do what the fuck you want. You want to fight? Go ahead and fight, girl. I don't care. Arya got some dick. She fucked Gendry, which everyone thought was a big deal, which I totally didn't feel like was a big deal because they thought the world was ending. So she's like, hey, listen here. I want to know what it's like before the world is over, so let me get mine. And I'm like, yeah, Arya, get yours. You only got one life, and if you're about to lose it, you might as well use it, you know what I'm saying? But I for sure thought that was Gendry's closure. And then Daenerys is finally able to corner Jon in the crypt and say, bae, now that I got you, I just kind of feel like something's wrong. Like, I just feel like your energy is just like what's going on between us? Like, are we good? Like what's up? And Jon's just kind of like, okay, listen here. I'm not Jon Snow. I'm a whole Aegon Targaryen. My mom was Lyanna. My dad was Rhaegar. So here we are. auntie, what's good? And Daenerys is not even receptive to it. She's just kind of like, well, who told you that? Your pillhead brother or your fat friend? She just does not want to believe it, and that's also going to be a thing, I feel like, next episode, because Daenerys is already just going to go straight for her throne. But if Jon does not say something, actually, maybe that's why they kept Sam alive, is because Sam is supposed to say something, and Bran definitely will say something. So we'll see. But right now, Daenerys is just like not receptive. She's like, yeah, fuck that. So that was episode 2. A lot of people didn't like that episode. I liked the episode because I thought it was the last time that we were going to see a lot of those characters speak. I was like, we're gonna lose a lot of them. Like, this is gonna be fucking awful. And I was expecting a lot of people to die. I thought that Tormund was up for grabs, Brienne was up for grabs, Jaime was up for grabs, everybody in the crypt would have been a free-for-all. I thought that Beric, Ed, Sam, Jorah, Lyanna, Theon, Grey Worm, Podrick, like, I thought anyone possible could have died. And I really thought that it was going to be more death. I'm not gonna lie to you. And the fact that there wasn't more death, in hindsight, because I took a second, because the episode was gaggy. I was gagged by the whole thing, and I'm gonna get into some specifics in a second. But after watching it without being on the edge of my seat, I kind of thought that there needed to be way more bloodshed. And I feel like Game of Thrones wants to, what's the word? Game of Thrones wants to do right by these characters. They feel like a love for even the actors. They feel love for the actors. They feel love for these characters. And I admire that, and I think it's great. I just think that the point of Game of Thrones is that we're not supposed to get closure. So even Lyanna Mormont's death, when she got swept up by the giant and she stabbed him in the eye, and it was like, oh, Lyanna gets to go out so valiantly. It was like, I don't really need all that. I would have rather the giant just backhanded her, and that was Lyanna's death. I wanted deaths like that. I wanted the fragility of life to really be carried over through Game of Thrones by us spending these 8 years with these characters and learning to love them and knowing their stories and just having them go out like that. That's what I wanted from Game of Thrones. And they did not give me that, at least in this battle, which is supposed to be the biggest battle. I did not get that. However, let's talk about the positives. The battle was suspenseful as fuck. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether I wanted Cheetos, Fritos, Doritos. I needed so many different foods and snacks. I stress ate like a motherfucker during that episode because my stomach was in knots. I needed food. I needed comfort. I needed something to hold me because you didn't know who was gonna die. It was every second it could have been somebody else's ass, somebody else that you love because they built it up that way. So they were able to carry that tension. Sam was a bitch the whole. I do not know how big bitch ass Sam even survived. He got my man's Ed killed, RIP. Sam spent the whole time on his back. Even towards the end of the battle, when Sam was also on his back, Jon saw him and Sam was looking like help, and Jon's like, bitch, I told you to go in the crypt. I need to go save my brother, and just left him for dead. Like, Sam, there's no reason that Sam should have survived other than the fact that they needed Sam there because Sam is gonna be the one to deliver the message to everybody else that Daenerys is not the heir. Melisandre was the MVP, period. I don't hate Melisandre. I thought that Melisandre has only ever done what needed to be done to advance the story and to advance us to this point. These things have to be done in order for the process and for the Lord of Light's destiny to be carried out, I guess is what she's trying to say. So everybody that hates Melisandre, shut the fuck up. Even Davos, as soon as he saw Melisandre, he's holding on to his knife and he's like, because he's still hung up over that little Geodude girl. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Little Geodude has been dead for like 4, 5, 6 seasons now. Like, nobody cares. And even Melisandre was like, you don't even need to even go that far. I'll be dead by tomorrow. Okay, just let me do my job. But for some reason, she looked directly at Grey Worm and said, Valar Morghulis. And I was like, no, he has to die, because doesn't that mean something like you gonna die in Valyrian or whatever? Of course, the Dothraki were on the front lines and the Blacks were the first to go, which, whatever. And that kind of pissed off Khaleesi, because then she immediately got on the dragon and said, fuck the plan, we gotta go. And I like the way they showed that, like, after Melisandre lit up their sides and they just showed them valiantly running into an enemy that we hadn't even seen yet, and then the fire just gets snuffed and it just gets quiet and the wind just blows. That was one of the creepiest fucking things that I've ever seen in my life. I feel like they did the lighting on purpose this way because they needed, first of all, it's a night battle, so that's the way it should be. And second of all, I like the suspense of it all. I didn't think it was that dark. I don't think it was any darker than Game of Thrones has been at night, if that makes sense. Jon and Daenerys were nowhere to be found the majority of the battle. They sucked. Most of the time, they were in the air, they were lost, got caught in that fucking snowstorm. fucking D+ for both of them. There were plenty of times where we needed some fire, and neither one of them were there to protect the castle or to even fight off a horde because they were too busy getting their ass beat by the Night King. Tyrion was pissed because he wasn't allowed to be up there in the battle, and he was pretty much saying, oh, well, if they get their ass whooped, like, what if they need some more counsel? Like, I need to be there to be able to switch up the plan. Like, without me there, they ain't gonna be shit. And Sansa literally goes, listen here, witty remarks, that ain't gonna help nobody. Sit your ass down. And then they have a couple touching moments about like maybe they should have stayed married, and she was like, well, out of all my husbands, you were the best. But Sansa quickly nips that in the bud because she goes, it will never work because you have to be loyal to the Dragon Queen, and that's gonna be a problem. And Missandei kind of hears them talking shit about her friend and goes, you're totally right, because without my friend, there would be no problem. Because we'd be dead. So shut the fuck up. Which I'm like, okay, two things. A, who the fuck are you? But B, go off, Missandei. Like, yeah, don't let them talk shit about your friend. But if I was Sansa, I would have been like, and who is she? The Night King was a boss. The Night King, RIP to a real one. In fact, the Night King beat Jon and Daenerys' ass. The Night King was all over their ass like white on rice. The Night King was not letting up. He did not take his foot off of nobody's neck. The Night King was in it to fucking win it. Every time he got a clear shot, he was chucking an ice javelin at the dragons. Like, I could have swore he was gonna get another one. And then when he eventually did get knocked off the dragon, and then he's face to face with Daenerys and her dragon, he's kind of looking at her, and they get that moment, and Daenerys kind of goes, Dracarys, in her most dramatic way, and then they play this valiant music. The fire subsides and he's waiting here like, I was cute, bitch. Daenerys couldn't handle it. Like, what? My one powerful attack? And then after that, he's walking towards the castle, and Jon gets off his dragon and thinks he's gonna run towards the Night King. Just run. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna run. Not like even tell your dragon to like run up on him and grab him or some shit. No. The Night King kind of turned around and was like, my dead homies, where y'all niggas at? But you really couldn't tell who this episode was about. It was focusing on so many storylines at once. And now it comes to know that it was about Arya. The whole time it was about Arya. But I thought there was multiple times that Arya was gonna be a goner. Not that she's not a great fighter, but they really put us through the ringer with Arya. That library scene, holy shit. But it reminds me of Arya being forced to train in the dark and being quiet, and the way she had to sneak around the corridors when she was blind and living in the street. Like, Arya's been through some shit, and all this training was for that. All that she's been through was for that very moment. And then when her, Beric, and the Hound got chased by that horde in the hallway, I was like, fuck, I thought maybe the Hound would die there, but really they just took out Beric. And it was sad to see the Lord of Light Your Ass Up go, because I'm gonna miss him just going shh, and that fucking sword being on fire. But at the same time, Beric isn't, to me, a main character. He's more of a familiar face. So I kind of feel like we lost more familiar faces than we did people who it would really hurt to lose. And that's like, come on, give me someone, but they really didn't give us anyone. Maybe Theon was like a big one, but we saw that from a mile away. She meets up with Melisandre, who she hasn't seen since Melisandre came to steal Gendry away, and Melisandre told her there's great darkness in here, she'll shut many eyes forever, brown eyes, green eyes, and blue eyes. And Melisandre repeats that to her in her little hype-up speech, and then she says, what do you say to the god of death? And Arya says, not today, and then runs away. And that's a line from season 1 when Arya was learning how to sword fight with her sword fighting friend Syrio, who really gave his life for her in the end. And he told her there's only one god, his name is death, and what do we say to the god of death? Not today. So I love the way they've taken things from the past and they've really tied it into this very satisfying moment. Like, even if it wasn't written this way, the fact that they went back to bring those things back, to meld them, to kind of bring it all full circle, is really beautiful. It's poetic, and it kind of brings in the whole Game of Thrones theme about destiny. The dead got raised in the crypt. I kind of thought by the dead getting raised in the crypt, they missed an opportunity for us to at least see specifically Lyanna's crypt and something bust out of there, or Ned's crypt and something bust out of there, or Catelyn, even give us like a call to Lady Stoneheart, who the books go over, but the show doesn't. Like, they could have showed us, this is Catelyn's skeleton, oh fuck. And they didn't. They just kind of gave us random skeletons, which I thought, you could have went a little further with that. I would have loved to see like a headless Ned Stark skeleton try to kill Sansa or something. That would have been fucking deep. Jorah saves Daenerys but dies, shocker. And Daenerys is like all, no. But it's like, girl, you didn't really give a fuck about him. You gave a fuck about him, but not enough to fuck him, you know what I mean? Sam, of course, is somewhere on his back like a fucking helpless turtle. And before you know it, Winterfell is overrun. Jaime, Podrick, and Brienne are pinned against the wall. The crypt is full of walkers. Jon is looking a dragon in the face. It looks pretty bad. It looks bad and it looks like it's over. The Night King is just walking through Winterfell in slow-mo like he's Nas and this is Belly. Like he's just prancing through like, yo. Theon is realizing that this is the big shebang, and Bran looks at Theon and says, Theon, you're a good man. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what Theon needed to hear, because Theon really felt like the course of his life was thrown off by the way that, you know, it ended with the Starks and the way that he crossed them. And I think that he needed to know that he's a good person. And that was the last thing that was said to him before he charged the Night King, and the Night King was kind of like, okay, well, bye. And then the Night King walks up to Bran, which I for sure thought the episode is either gonna end or Bran is about to get his neck snapped. I think by then we had already seen Jon turn around and scream at the dragon. I was never fazed by that because Jon Snow was just not gonna die. Jon Snow was never on my list of people to die this episode. It doesn't make any sense, so no. And then before you know it, Arya spider monkeys out of nowhere and fucking stabs at the Night King. He grabs her by the throat. When he grabbed her by the throat, I was like, oh, bitch, you dead, ah! And then, whoop, lets it go, catches it, gah! And everything ends. And in the moment, it is the most epic thing you've ever seen. I was in my bedroom like, ah! It was nuts. It was nuts! And it turns out that, of course, they've been planning for Arya to be the one to deliver this blow to the Night King the whole time, which I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'll take it. But at the same time, the Night King was such a big part of the show that it's like, I wanted more from the Night King. I wanted more. I just wanted more from the Night King. I wanted more death. In hindsight, I wanted that battle to be a little bit more, because that changes the course of the way you have to think about the whole season and the whole show to me. Because now, we are playing Game of Thrones again. So now, we've won the war against the dead, I guess, but before I was saying Cersei was a dumbass bitch, because duh, Cersei, you of course needed to send that army, because if you don't send the army, and the Night King and his enemies beat Winterfell, and he collects it, he comes all the way down with every dead person to ever die in all of Westeros, he's gonna destroy you no matter how many people you have. But Cersei didn't send her army, they won, now they have pretty much nobody, and Cersei has 30,000 people on her side. So to me now, Cersei's looking kind of smart, like, oh, you lost all your men in war? Well, now you'll bow to the queen, or I'll just kill you all one by one. Tough right now. It's tough. So I think it leaves us to think about Game of Thrones in a completely different way now, because the dead are no longer a factor. And with the dead not being a factor, that does bring on a theme that the only threat to man realistically is man. I still think that death is gonna come. I still think that there's gonna be plenty of death. I still think there's gonna be plenty of death of characters that we love. However, it's not gonna be at the hands of Night King. It's gonna be at the hands of jealousy, envy, greed. It's gonna be at the hands of everything that kind of destroys humanity as it is, which a lot of it is humanity in itself. So that's a deep theme that I guess we're gonna have to explore, because I still think that mad heads are gonna die. I still think that mad heads are gonna die. Just not the way that we thought, which is kind of like, I mean, all right, I'll take it. I could have used Game of Thrones to make a stronger choice, and I don't need it to be a valiant death for everybody. Like, a strong choice is what I wanted. And for us to only lose these characters that's like, aw, but not really aw, it's like, eh. I asked you guys in my community tab to leave me a comment about how you felt about this episode, so I'm gonna read a couple of them right now. Ariel says, I'm probably one of the few people that were actually happy Jon wasn't the one to defeat the Night King. He's been built up for seasons, yes, and however, that would have been an obvious ending. And I love that the unexpected happened, and that she says she wants Arya to be the first warrior queen of the Andals in the Seven Kingdoms. I mean, I think that Arya's story arc is done. I think that Arya's moment is done. I do not think Arya is going to be the one to kill Cersei. I feel like that would be too much Arya. Like, it would be way too much Arya. But I also do think that Jon did not need to be the one to defeat the Night King. Like, that would have been too much of a hero story. Even though Game of Thrones is starting to turn into, like, your classic hero story, which is kind of bothering me a little bit because I don't want it to be that. But yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right. I did not want Jon to be the one to do that. Grey Worm should have died at least 10 times this episode by Kiwi Jush, period. Ricky Rojas said, can Jon even die from fire? I don't think so, which is exactly why I didn't think that the fire was gonna kill him in the first place. Like, I wasn't ever threatened by that. Brian Parther, my friend, hi Brian, says, so apparently there's a lot of people who are pissed about the first 20 minutes of the episode being too dark to see. Honestly, I hope their asses stay mad. If you can't grasp the simple concept that this is what the characters are seeing, then why are you watching such a complex show with so many layers and themes? That was my point, is I love the low visibility. I don't want to have a level of information above Daenerys when I'm watching, like, go right there, no, go there, go there. No, I don't want that. We were lost when they were lost. We were scared when they were scared. They were able to put that into me as if I was in the battle. That shit was crazy. Mildred says, for some reason, I highly doubt that the Night King is dead. There's no way it could have been that easy. Maybe he's living vicariously through Bran. I always found it weird how him and Jon never had a one-on-one battle. I don't think he's living through Bran. I genuinely just think they just kind of wrapped the storyline up. The Night King still being alive at this point is just like, kill him. You know what I mean? Like, just kill him. He's a great villain, though. I loved him, and I love that he's a villain that has no agenda. He is not a complex villain. He is evil. Everyone else in Game of Thrones is complex. They want to do this because of this or because of that, and they have good parts and bad parts and medium parts and human parts. The Night King has none of that. The Night King has one objective: endless night, end, pure evil. That's the only thing that he wanted, was to end humanity. That's it, because that's what he was created to do by the Tree People, is because they saw that humanity was ruining everything. So they created the White Walkers. And so he was doing his job. And I kind of like that in the end. So yeah, I'm excited for the rest of Game of Thrones, because in very Game of Thrones fashion, they did something that we had no idea what they were going to do. And we could be pissed about that, but the reality of the situation is, whatever the fuck happened, I didn't expect this. I did not expect this. And I thought that I could peg out what Game of Thrones was going to do. And even though this is definitely not what I thought they were going to do, it goes along with the theme of Game of Thrones that they didn't do what the fuck I thought they were going to do. Can't wait to see these next 3 episodes play out. They're all over an hour, and we have a lot of shit to go through. We have a lot of time to watch. But I don't want people to think that there wasn't enough death in this episode, so Game of Thrones is soft. There's going to be death. It's just going to come at the hands of humanity, and it's not going to come at the hands of this evil Night King that we love so much. So RIP to the realest one, and to Beric and Ed, and Theon, I guess. And Lyanna, the real. Oh, Jorah too. King of the Friend Zone. Lord and Protector of the Realm. Anyway, let me know how you felt about the episodes below. I'll be in the comments talking to you guys. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If not, suck a dick, and I'll be seeing you guys later. Deuce. And Sansa goes, okay, well, I wasn't planning on feeding all these people. And only names all of Daenerys' people. And then she says, and 2 dragons. What do dragons even eat anyway? And Daenerys looks at her and says, whatever they want.